Hi all, I'm CJ. I'm doing closing statements for pro and con arguments of safe spaces. Thank you, Sarah and Christina, for all of your input. A safe space is a place where anyone can relax and be able to fully express without fear of being made to feel uncomfortable, unwelcome, or unsafe. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a safe space as a place, as on a college campus, intended to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potentially threatening actions, ideas, or conversations. There are different styles of safe spaces. An example the dictionary gave was students advertising that a safe space would be available for anyone who found a recent event too upsetting. Another dictionary example is of college campuses that have created safe spaces for marginalized communities, especially for women, sexual assault victims, people of color, transgendered students. Safe spaces can provide powerful support and healing systems for students and communities by encouraging one another to increase inclusion and decrease isolation, to help with coping skills by surrounding oneself with others that may be dealing with similar challenges, to air common grievances, and work towards community healing from oppression. Safe spaces are havens for groups that experience racism, sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia. Under the First Amendment, hate speech is classified as free speech. However, hate speech instills fear. Living in fear causes numerous health complications, like depression and anxiety. Therefore, the assumption of those in need of these spaces sway towards marginalized groups who are constantly being attacked with threats of verbal and physical violence. Safe spaces started becoming commonplace in the 1970s when women's rights and gay rights competed with the Watergate scandal and the ongoing Vietnam War. Historically, safe spaces are a side effect of prejudice, which is the preconceived, usually unfavorable evaluation of another person based on that person's political affiliation, sex, gender, beliefs, values, social class, age, disability, religion, sexuality, race, ethnicity, language, nationality, beauty, occupation, education, criminality, sport team affiliation, or other personal characteristics. In the 1970s, it was prejudice against women, the LGBT community, and people of color that marked those who were in need of safe spaces. However, in some circles, the term safe space has become synonymous with liberal complaint zone. Even in the dictionary examples given, the depiction is of marginalized communities who are in need of safe spaces. Surprisingly, a more broad range of organizations build and benefit from safe spaces than one may assume. The Straight Pride Parade held in Boston, Massachusetts is just one of the groups that were, as they sloganed, marching for the oppressed majority. Gays with Guns is another group who could benefit from safe space protections. Identity politics, or reverse racism, as defined by the dictionary to be the discrimination or prejudice against a racial or ethnic majority, usually though as imagined or perceived by white people, ought to also have their freedom of speech protected and given the same rights as all groups, even if society was literally built for white landowning men. An article from Teen Vogue stated safe spaces infringe on freedom of speech, hinder intellectual progressiveness, coddle students from the harsh realities which they will face in the real world, and create a victimhood culture. To explain further, in The Coddling of the American Mind, the authors wrote, "A campus culture devoted to policing speech and punishing speakers is likely to be the cause of depression and anxiety." Further, the authors wrote that in the name of emotional well-being, college students are increasingly demanding protection from words like and ideas they don't like. Most common arguments against safe spaces say that safe spaces keep people isolated and aren't a good representation of how it will be in the real world. No matter who is said to deserve a safe spaces are still criticized, making it increasingly difficult for educators and community members to decide whether to facilitate these spaces. Factors such as politics, religion, and media, including apps like Twitter, perpetuate notions of racism, sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia, with little accountability for single-sided comments. Much of what we see in our current society is blame culture, accusation, and fallacy, fake news, where compassion has become increasingly isolated from the average manner in which people in the US relate. Safe spaces promote healthy dialogue, conversation where each party is fairly heard, acknowledging differences with critical thinking and feedback, a key component to understanding others. However, similar to social media algorithms, if we're constantly being fed the same-sided one information or conversation, we cannot develop empathy for others and their opinions. In conclusion, until more respect can be shown towards our differences, there stays a strong need for safe spaces, with emphasis on friendship and community. Thank you.